Parag. How are you?
Sincere apologies. I was late in sending the link.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I was out. Yeah. So, right. Yeah. Is everyone there? Who had told me they will be there? Yeah, one more person is expected. Yeah, so we will combine two sessions, repetition, because I think 1.5 hours should be sufficient, or 2 minutes here and there, because yoga part is going to be common. So we cover the revision of Sukshma Yoga, and you can see starting from the toe moving upwards. So do stretches like this. Then rotation in one direction, in other direction. Butterfly. I hope you are practicing butterfly so that you can do better. Padmasana. Your feet as close to yourself, and try that your knees touch the ground. Then same as we did with the feet. Then the shoulders. Just revising, we are not doing enough number of cycles, but 5 to 10 is recommended. Then opposite direction. After that, Brahma Mudra, the neck exercise. First, you tighten your neck as much as possible. Now, keep your neck as loose as possible and then jerky left right movement. Then the rotation. You may hear sounds coming from your neck, which is perfectly fine. Now we will add a new asana to it. A simple asana, which is Vajrasana. You sit on your feet with your legs spread like this, sideways. This is the shape of a Vajra. Okay. So advantage of Vajrasana is Vajrasana can be one of the few couple of asanas which can be done immediately after having food also. In fact, it is recommended that if you are not going to have a walk, you should do Vajrasana for 5 minutes after having food. What it does is actually lifting your digestive organs and making the passage of food slower, which helps in digestion. So this is strongly recommended after food, and you can do any other time also. Now we did Naman Mudra. What we can do is we can do Naman Mudra in Vajrasana. So Naman Mudra can be done in Sukhasana, Padmasana, or Vajrasana. Okay, so as we know, when we expand our chest, we breathe in, go down, breathing out slowly. Shallow breathing. Breathe out and stretch your hands. Stop breathing in. Slowly breathe out. So people who have problem about pain in the legs, calf muscles, thigh muscles, they can also sit on this, and this is like a self massage to the legs. Again, the surface on which you are sitting should not be rock hard, should not be soft like your mattress. A simple chadai kind of surface is good. Okay, so now we will start. What do we do first is straighten our posture. Stretch as much as possible. Stretch your spine to the utmost. Neck also. And then relax your hands. And let them be on your lap. As I had explained earlier, that there are various mudras in which you can sit while doing Padmasana. This is Gyan Mudra, which is good for knowledge, but every personality is different. As we go in depth, I will explain to you how you can use different pressure for different kinds of personalities and different kinds of effects. You might have seen some mudra like this for Gautam Buddha. Yes?
Parag, repeat, please.
Which part?
Last one.
Mudra.
Yeah.
So as I said, that mudra is such a simple thing, but is powerful. There are mudras that will help you coming out of allergic problems. There are mudras that will help you in blood pressure. There are mudras, but the most common mudra when sitting is Gyan Mudra, which you must have seen.
And which one is for blood pressure?
We'll come to that, but what you could do is depending on your blood pressure. But for now, what you can do is you can combine these two fingers, push your thumb nail onto them. Yeah, like this.
Okay.
Okay, so this is in general good for heart. You can press them and sit like this. But I do not recommend doing this while doing your pranayama exercises because you
Okay.
need to be completely relaxed. This is the true Padmasana. Everything is like a lotus petals. Okay, but otherwise, while sitting, it doesn't have to be Padmasana. So while relaxing, also you could try these mudras.
Okay. Thank you.
So mudras will go in depth later on. Somebody had requested me that I should clearly explain what is going to be covered in the course and how many sessions are going to be there. I don't think it is possible. I do not have enough experience also.
चला जाए और उनके पैसे ले ले और बाकी के पैसे लेके राजू को दे
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, yeah. So if you need to speak or do something else in between, I request people to mute themselves so that others are not disturbed. Yeah. So as I was saying that we need to cover mudras, we need to cover dharmas, we need to cover things, a thing called as cell level meditation. We need to cover meditation. Okay. And there are so many topics about how things happen, how and why, and coming to the point of who am I? I am not sure how much time people are going to take to go over one point of another.
Yes.
So it is impossible for me to give you exact schedule of the course. So bear with me for the time being. Yeah. So we have straightened our posture. Eyes closed. Again, to recap, your breathing has to be from abdomen, bottom to up. Breathing out is the other way. So first, you are going to completely exhaust, completely breathe out. Breathe in. I believe by now the scene is stamped on your mind. I am alone in this whole universe. Vast, infinite, dark universe. At the height of my heart, the center of my body. I am asleep. And the light spreads through my body shape, which is my temple. The whole of the temple, my body shape is lit in the golden, soft light. And the vast universe around me, I hear, with my mind, I hear the gunjan of Omkar. Try to Visualize the light, universe, and the sound simultaneously. Breathe out. Breathe in. Again, to remind you, your Omkar, the vibration starts from the base of your spine, travels up to your navel. You need to feel the vibration there, travels up at your heart level. Your heart also feels the vibration, goes to your throat, your point between your two eyebrows, and then top of your head. Advanced, very, very advanced users will be able to feel the vibration in a chakra which is above your head. We are going to do one session which is not actually going to be session, which is going to be reverse, where I watch people do things so that if there are mistakes, we need to correct them. Otherwise, we would continue, and if some mistakes are continuing, then it could be harmful. So, what is the next thing we do after Omkar? Is Kapalabhati, a cleansing. You're sweeping the breathing tract. So, do Kapalabhati always with Surya Nadi, right nostril first. Close your left nostril with your ring finger. Just a second. Again, sorry about that. I will try to take care that I have a separate room in this, so there is no disturbance. So, Kapalabhati with right nostril 54 times. After 54, completely dry. Complete without. Fill in. And enjoy the slow breathing out. Don't even know you are breathing out. Enjoy the calm, peaceful breathing. Now with right nostril closed, we'll do 54 from Chandra Nadi. Complete breathe. Fill in. Slow breathing out. Yeah. So we did left and right. Okay. With practice, you would have no choking of nose on either of the nostrils. And after doing left and right, what you need to do is 108 Kapalbhati strokes with both nostrils open. Okay, right now, if you have any of the nostrils slightly choked, you need to regulate the flow by lifting that nostril. So if left is slightly choked, let's say, and right is clear, you can lift left slightly and you will feel equal flow of prana. So breathe out completely. We'll do just 54. Complete breathe out. Fill in. And very slow exhale. Imagine you are trapped in a cube of ice and it is melting around. Calm feeling starts from the top of your head, and the calm, cool feeling is passing from top to the bottom of my body. Slowly feel the peace and calm. So ideally, this is to be done 108 times. If you are not being able to do that, then you can slowly increase. But I don't think with both nostrils open, it should be so difficult. With this simple breathing exercise itself, you should be able to lose some excess fat. So after Kapalbhati, what do we do? Anyone? Just to check if people have been trying it.
Yeah, that sharp intake and outtake.
Anulom Vilom.
Sorry.
Anulom.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. No Vilom first.
The first thing we do after the cleaning, basically.
Yeah.
So every time when I do this Omkar, I say the temple of my body, temple of my body. Somewhere in your subconscious, it must have struck that if the body is the temple, who is the God? Okay, we'll come to that. Yeah. Did anyone think of this actually, consciously? If body is the temple, what is the God? No? Okay, anyway, so Anulom Vilom is we start with Chandranadi, which is left nostril. Breathe in slowly, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, depending on your practice and comfort. It can go up to 20 seconds. If you are being able to do more than 20, then let me know, we'll change the routine. But right now, 5 seconds. And it shouldn't be so much stressful that you have to struggle for breathing after the whole exercise. So, right closed, from left, you breathe in, breathe out from right, breathe in from right, breathe out from left. Let's do 3 cycles. At home, when practicing, you should do at least 5 cycles. All this with eyes closed, but if you want to see what I am doing, you can take a look. Okay. So after Anulom Vilom, even after end of Anulom Vilom, you can do the same thing as we do in Kapalbhati, that breathe out completely, then breathe in and slowly exhale. So when I say breathe out completely, have you tried really complete breathing out? You think you have breathed out completely, and you again try, and you will be able to throw some more air out. So the better you do it, the better your lung capacity would become, and it would also solve some of your stomach and digestion related issues. Like, okay, now we'll do Ujjayi. So I believe people who did only first 2 sessions, we have done normal Ujjayi, where we imagine my stomach area cuff is getting clear. So we'll take 3 types of Ujjayi today. You know what Ujjayi is, right? You contract your throat, and like you are doing coughing. So with friction, you have to breathe in and breathe out. So normal Ujjayi, as we remember, mind plays a great role, and you need to imagine that cuff in your stomach area is getting cleared. Yeah, 2 is enough. Now what we are going to do is, look at my hands. They are at my heart level. And this angle, this is parallel to my shoulders, my 2 shoulders in same line. And now you are going to feel the vibration, friction in your chest. So your chest, and you are going to imagine that your chest area cuff is going to get clear. Okay, right now please look at what I am doing, but when practicing, you should be doing it with eyes closed. Your hands, you will feel the vibration. This will also help clear minor blocks. Now the third thing is Urdhva Ujjayi, where I am going to imagine my vibration, my friction from this point to the top of my head. And I am going to imagine all my upper respiratory tract cuff is getting cleared, my sinuses are getting cleared. Okay, and how do you do that? You will have to watch me first. Then with eyes closed, you can practice this. Don't do it right now. Okay, so the vibration has to make that clear in mind. Your mind will be able to decide where the vibration happens. And people who have suppressed their cough with medicines earlier, they'll start coughing when they do this. Again, another warning is while doing this Urdhva Ujjayi, sometimes people may feel dizzy, which is nothing to be scared of. Okay, because anyway we are going to do it 3 times. So now try this. You can unmute yourself. Imagine the cup being clear. Okay. So Ujjayi is to do with heat. You need to cool down yourself. So what follows is Shitali. So you remember Shitali, right? Clenched teeth, tongue pushing your teeth, and breathing through your teeth, the small gaps. Slowly breathe out. Always breathe out from your nose. Okay. So we'll do another type of Shitali Shikari where you are curling your tongue and touching the top of your mouth inside. Like this. Okay. And breathing in. If this is difficult, you continue doing normal, the teeth clenched. So we discussed one bandh in the first session, right? Initially itself, Mool bandh. I hope some people have tried doing Vajroli Mudra, which is contraction and relaxation of your anal muscles. May sound like a very small exercise compared to the heavyweight gym exercise, but I can guarantee you this can increase your stamina much faster. Muscles is just one part of your body's mechanism. Your body to work requires many machineries like heart, lungs, kidneys, pancreas, stomach, various joints. So they cannot be neglected. So we covered Mool bandh. Mool bandh is contraction of the anal muscles, holding that. Okay. Whenever you are doing this Omkar to Omkar, the pranayam practice, you have to keep in mind that your Mool bandh should be on. I'll just explain the other bandhs that are there. Jalandhar bandh is this little depression in, at the point of your throat. So you are going to Jalandhar bandh. Okay. And Uddiyaan bandh is that your Mool bandh is upright, Jalandhar bandh is upright, and you breathe out completely and you try to pull your navel upwards. Pull your stomach all the way inside. Relax your stomach first, then open your Jalandhar. Okay, so this we are not going to practice, but this is just to inform you. So we did Ujjayi. Ujjayi and Bhastra Ujjayi can solve long-term chronic asthma problems. And I know there are cases from my office also who got tremendous relief. They used to take a regular pump, that steroid pump, and they got freed after doing these practices. So next thing is we are going to do Brahmari. Did I cover Brahmari in first 2 sessions? I don't think so. Okay, so first, the practice of Brahmari. Just close your ears. Now, how do you close your ears? Not by putting your finger inside, but you have to push this part, this lobe, by your thumb inside your ear and block your
Just
ear.
Parag,
Yeah,
just show it again, please.
yeah,
From
sure.
where we have to put
closer.
our,
Come closer. Yeah.
yeah, camera.
So this part, this lobe is there,
Yes.
no?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this you have to push inside
Okay.
and block your ear. Yeah. So this is a
With
small exercise which is pre-Brahmari, I would call. Would say this is Brahmari, but let's say with your two thumbs, you can keep your other fingers relaxed, push your earlobes inside, and close them, close eyes, and try to listen. Give a couple of minutes and tell me what you heard. Full concentration in listening. Yeah. You can release your. Could you guys hear anything?
no, nothing.
Nothing. Anybody?
Like
Not
a
even the
humming
hum.
sound, like
Like
a
a-
humming sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Humming or little bit of gunj
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. Sometimes when you are in forest and there is no other sound and you are near a river or something like, you hear that kind of sound. Yeah. So you need to practice till you start getting this hum. And to do Brahmari, you need to have this mudra that your thumbs are closing, your two fingers, which are one is on your forehead, one is just above your eyebrows, and other two below. Okay, so you're blocking all your senses, eyes closed, ears closed. Yeah. So with this, was it easier to listen to the hum? Okay, so now we'll end this with Omkar. If your posture is not correct, please correct it again. To correct posture, you have to stretch your hands and then relax them so that your spine is straight. Breathe out completely. Sean, I believe you know the scene now. I don't have to describe. But the diya at the center of your body, vast universe around, and enjoy the Omkar virtual Gunjan, imaginary Gunjan around you. Breathe out. Fill in. Down. Calm down. You find yourself standing in the middle of a river. Water is almost up to your eyes. Very calm. Not a single ripple. It is dark. Sun is just about to rise in front of you. River is flowing towards east and sun is rising. So you see some red golden rays. Some pouring through different structures of flowers. Since there is some light, you observe that there is a lot of greenery around the river. Of course, your eyes are closed. You are seeing it from your mind's eye. So the sun starts to show. And of course, it's reflection in the water. Sun is halfway above water. See full sun because of the reflection. The sun rises further. Water level also rises. You are completely submerged in water. But you still see golden rays of the sun. Complete peace. At the end of Omkar, we rub our hand and make use of the charge that coming to some interesting discussion we had. So, what was the topic of third session? The world was created 1 hour back. Correct? People can unmute. This is going to be interactive. This needs to be interactive. I claim that world was created 1 hour back. I'm pretty sure of it. Please try and disprove.
So will I remember things beyond 1 hour?
Yeah, I mean, you will say that your old session is uploaded a week back. And what are you talking about 1 hour, right? Any
Yeah.
other argument? Anybody else? Give me some good arguments.
Parag,
Yeah.
it's like the very difficult to imagine that it's just 1 hour. You know, it's like you go back to your entire life right from childhood.
Correct, correct. I mean, someone can say my father expired a year back,
Right,
and without my father, how was I created?
right.
Is it possible? I mean, and that's so long back. Another thing you can say is, come on, 1 week back you said world was created 1 hour back, and now you are saying it was created 1 hour back. To all these, there is a one simple answer. When the world was created 1 hour back, you were created with this method. Okay. Now try coming to the.
No, Parag, can you come again? The
Now try
last one?
refuting. The last thing I said was that when the world was created 1 hour back, you were created with the memories of your father, mother, old books, 2000-year-old book with crumpled pages. All this was created 1 hour back. You were created with those memories. You were created, I was created with those memories where I feel that one week back I had taken another session.
Yani you mean to say कि built-in memories? Okay.
Built in, it was built in that stage.
That means you are saying that it was already there as a starting point.
Yeah, when we were born, it was already
What was there
memory.
at the starting point?
Yeah.
The world was born 1 hour back. Not just we were not born. I mean, like now world has a mechanism. You will start seeing that people are giving birth to others, but we were created. That was the starting point. There is no way this can be refuted. No logical way. Okay, we'll come to how this can get sorted. Once we go in depths of spirituality, there is an answer to everything. But here at this point, it is impossible to prove that because that world was not created 1 hour back. Second thing I talked about was dream. Do most of you get dreams?
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes.
So when in dream, do you know you are dreaming?
No.
No.
Then you wake up and you say, oh, I had a good dream, I had a bad dream.
Right.
How do you know you are not dreaming now and you are going to wake up?
We are conscious.
While dreaming also you are conscious. I will explain one interesting dream of mine, okay, to make it clearer. And this is real dream. This is not, so should not create, I have to tell that real story and made up story. I make up stories for explaining some point. So the dream. Okay, so I need to tell you that when I was a small child, I used to get a dream where I'm crossing a railway track. And a train comes, I run, another train comes, I run, and the track just doesn't end. Trains keep coming, and then scared I used to get up. So this I got a few times when I was a child. This must be some fear, some anxiety. I don't know what it represents. Now here is a scene where I am at some house in some village, and I'm across in that dream. Now this is in the dream. Across the road there is some jail, some prison, and for some reason I have been put inside the. like there's no mattress, nothing. These are beds made of rock. So I sleep on the rock bed. Where did I sleep? In my dream, where I was in jail, I slept on the rock bed. Then I got up. Okay. Then I got up in that jail, which is my first dream, right? Which is my dream. Yeah. So I slept in my dream. I got up and I was in jail. So I was then let out. And then I'm crossing the road to come back to my house. As I step, there is an auto which comes going very close, and then I have to jump. So then there is another truck that comes, a tempo comes, a bike comes, and I started thinking, hey, this is something like my childhood. I used to get dream where these things keep coming, the trains keep coming, and then I used to wake up. So I tried hard. I thought I must be dreaming. So I tried hard and I woke up. Where did I wake up? I woke up in that prison on the rock bed. So what was this second dream? It was dream inside that dream. Is this clear? This is a difficult dream to understand. If not clear, people should ask me question.
Parag,
Yeah.
can you just come again? There is
Yeah. So in my dream, I am in jail. I sleep in that dream.
Okay.
And then I wake up. Okay. I wake up and I am coming out and I am crossing the road. And then I realize that no, I may be dreaming. So I try hard and I wake up. And I woke up in that jail. So when I slept in that jail, in that sleep, there was another dream.
Right.
Okay. So I thought, such a smart guy I am. I remembered my childhood dream and I tried to wake up. Okay. Understanding that you are dreaming in a dream. I was proud that, okay, I see like how I could do that. But I was still in the first level of dream. Then I woke up. And finally, when I woke up, I was not in jail, not anywhere, and I was back in my own hostel. This was during the hostel days.
Right.
Okay. So it is possible that I may again wake up. So how do I know this is real? Okay. And second thing that when I said was that 1 hour back the world was created. How do I know whether the world was? So all this thinking, what it leads to is a very key and very important point. So what is your existence? You are not sure world was created now. Is it a dream? Am I dreaming? Am I not dreaming? My most important existence is my current state of knowledge. If I am in coma and I have no receptors, I cannot hear anything, I cannot see anything, the external world does not exist for me. So my most important existence is my current state of knowledge. This is something I wanted to drive this point, and that is why all those dream stories, mirror stories, and what was created 1 hour back. If I would have just told you this, the impact possibly would not have been that much. Yeah. Some question?
So Parag, does that mean that real existence is just now?
No.
No, my understanding of the world is based on what I know. Okay. Now, is that truth is something which will come when we prove that infinite knowledge is possible, infinite correct knowledge is possible. We go through a logical process where how it can be achieved. And if it was achieved and someone who achieves that kind of knowledge says this is truth, then that completes the loop. But otherwise, there is no completion of this infinite loop. You have to just go by. So people may call it Maya, people may call it whatever. My truth is what I understand, what I know today is my truth. Okay, this point is important. I just wanted to dig that, and so we discussed about the dream and the imaginations and everything. So other things we discussed was, am I this body? I think this was discussed in third session. I'm not sure. If it was done in second, then please let me know. If I am this body, then what happens when my hand is cut off? there should be a little bit of I there and a little bit of I here, correct? My hand can be cut off, my leg can be cut off, my ear, nose, my heart can be replaced. What do I say? My hand is cut off. What do you mean by my hand? So even without understanding spirituality, inherently we all know that me is different and body is different. Body is something which I consider mine. Like my dress was torn, my body and me are different is something which is all of us clearly understand this. Somehow we try to fool ourselves and try to concentrate and think that body is me. But when a hand is cut off, you say my hand is cut off. When somebody's husband dies and she loved her husband, people are saying, why are you not hugging him? She said, no, the one I loved is not there anymore. No, this is not a spiritual person. This is a common person who is saying that. So all of us realize that there is something which is different from the body, which is life. Then another point that we discussed in the fourth session, if you have gone through the text, that am I a machine? So any thoughts on that? What is wrong with considering me as machine? So somebody said in last session that no, but I think, yeah, I can say computer also thinks. I know computer also thinks, can know, have information. There are computers which may know more than me. You would say Google is life then. So am I just a machine? But I feel good, bad in this. So the point is that computer, what is computer? So let's say there is this slope and I keep a marble or a ball, a round, hard round ball. What will happen? Nobody has to push it. There has to be no external force, no external God. This nature, the laws of physics will push it in the direction of the slope. In the direction of highest slope, it will start moving automatically. This is a logical movement. Let's make it more complicated. Where it ends, there is a fork. And there are two ways. One way is blocked sometimes and another way is open. The ball will move in the direction where the block is open. The gates are open, gates are closed. A computer is billions, trillions of such gates and such slopes, you can say, where things are happening as per physics. There is no sense of knowledge. Computer is basically, it is just like a book. Does the book have knowledge? Book has some structure of black and whites on it. And what we interpret and we think and we understand is the knowledge part. The computer would not have the sense of I. So there is some difference between computer and me. Okay, I still do not want to get into a soul where we want to take finally. But you can get a feeling that there is something different. There is no sense of I know. There is no sense of I. And there is no computer I can train it to say that I feel happy, I feel unhappy. But these are just words. It is just like saying sugar is sweet for a person who has never ever tasted sugar. So even a person who has not known the taste of sugar or any sweet taste can always say, read a book and say that sugar is sweet, correct? But he doesn't have the actual experience. And here something which experiences the sense of joy, sorrow. So I am a bit different from the computer. Now you would say that no, but like Stephen Hawking said that the hardware gets destroyed. The same moment life is finished. Have you seen that hardware is gone, but the life is still lingering? Has the hardware gone completely? I can give you account of every single atom of your body. If you check the carbon dioxide, the fumes and the water vapor and the ash, if you remove the external elements of oxygen and all, every single atom is accounted for. So what happens to this thing which was thinking of, has a feeling of I and feeling of knowledge and feeling of joy and sorrow? Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Next topic we discussed was death. what do we fear most? In general, we fear any loss. Loss of my property was one example we gave. The anxiety, the loss, the stress that we have is based on my belief of what is mine and what is me. So somebody had asked that, like, are we talking about accepting death? But the idea is not about accepting death. It is about understanding the continuity of myself. And if I understand, so we took that example of the 2-year-old child. I believe everybody has gone through that story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
In short, the 2-year child, I'm consoling my friend that your 2-year child is not there anymore. But am I not right? The 2-year child was not there. Am I not right that he was in great love with the 2-year-old child? He keeps the photographs of that time, and sometimes the parents open the album and again see that how cute he looked. Why are they not missing the child? Because they have a clear conviction that the same person is there in the new form. If I take away the child and I keep another child and tell them that this is the same person, they would not accept it. They may file a police complaint. So this continuation, if I understand my continuation as well as they understand the child is same, and my death as just a transition to another stage, like 2-year-old to 5-year-old, or I go from 4th standard to 5th standard. I believe all of us are that much educated. When you went from 4th standard to 5th standard, how many of you did cry? I will never be able to go back to my 4th standard. No, you just graduated, you moved on. Because that sense of loss or that lack of knowledge which caused that sense of loss was not there. You are clear that it is the same you. You are just moving from one class to another class. If your conviction about death is as clear as that it is going to be a continuation, then this fear of death would be completely lost. This is not an easy topic. I would like questions to come here. None, then I will continue. Is this very clear?
No, it's not very clear, but it's put us into a thought process.
Yeah. So what gave me that calmness while taking care of and trying to ease pain of my wife when she was dying? I was absolutely calm because I knew, and when I could convince her that you are going to continue, her stress also was much lower. And when she realized that she is much more than just this body, the psychological part of that pain was taken care of. The physical pain was still there. So understanding this, who am I? I am not body. We have seen that. Some attended the 4th session, so this may be repeat for them. But I will have to repeat this story of Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi, when he was in Africa, South Africa. In South Africa, he was extremely impressed with missionary work. I have seen some missionaries, not everybody. There may be corrupt people also, but there are missionaries who do very sincere work. There are missionaries who treated leprosy people in India. There are missionaries who ate with the people who were supposedly untouchable. And that is how some of the people got converted. Some were converted by force, but then this is something. So whether they have motive or not, basically some missionaries do a good work. And Mahatma Gandhi was impressed with that. So he writes to his guru in Gujarat, someone he considered guru. He writes to him that I'm impressed with this work, and I believe if I follow any path sincerely, I should be able to reach God. So can I follow this missionary path and can I take up Christianity? Now, his guru gave a very nice response. He did not tell him you should not take Christianity or you should take this religion or that religion. He told him that if you are sincerely putting water and fertilizers at some point, you will feel good for some time that you are doing some good work. But if you do not know where the seed is sown, you don't know where the seed is, which part of ground the seed is, and some part you are watering, all your efforts may go waste. For the tree to grow, for it to nurture, you have to exactly know where the seed is sown. Similarly, for you to grow spiritually, you exactly have to know who you are. So he advised him that you follow any philosophy, any path which tells you, which defines who am I correctly, and then that's up to you. Now this automatically takes care of so many questions, and then obviously we know that he did not take that path. So the point is clear, right? That we have to exactly know where the seed is sown. Similarly, our efforts in doing anything are going to be completely wasted if we do not know who we are. And we do not know after our eyes close finally and we die, let's say. Are we going to get more time to find out about yourself? Possibly not. So this is a matter of highest urgency that you need to resolve who you are. Once you know that, then you can start doing better to yourself. Otherwise, if Gavaskar was exchanged with a small child, a fisherwoman's child, and Gavaskar's mother was showering all her love to a wrong child, if it would have continued, then the original son would never have got, and after 10 years, if they know, things would have been much more confusing. The earlier you settle about what is yours, it becomes better. Now there is a land dispute, actually a land dispute in some family matters too, in some of my relatives. And there is 20 acres of land and 4 parties are going to get 5 acres each. They know it is theirs, but they do not know which is whose. Nobody is ready to work on that land. It's a farmland. They are not putting anything, they are not doing their farming because they do not know which is theirs. And they are desperately trying to know and settle it, ready to do some compromises, ready to pay the intermediaries so that they can find out which is their land that is established, and then they can start building. So it is of very vital importance that you understand who you are. Now about fictitious sense of me and mine. I had given one example that you are on, let's say, 4th floor and down there at the back side, you cannot reach there. Okay, there is no way to go to the back side, but from your window you see that there is a tree which is kind of crumpled. It is drying. And you feel, no, this I should water it. So every day you throw some water from your window. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and there is no change. The tree is not, no signs of improving. Then you read some books, you find out what is the good tonic for the tree. You add that to water and you start putting that. Still nothing. Now you are a bit stressed. I am doing so much effort, and why nothing is happening? So one fine day you somehow reach and go to that tree and you find out that it is paper or plastic. Would you still be stressed that tree is not growing? Now you would laugh at your mistake. What stupidity I was doing. It was a paper tree and I was trying to water it. Same would happen once you realize who you are, and many of your stresses, anxieties, fears would look like stupid things. And so basically we are not accepting sorrow as part of life. We are going to understand that there is nothing like sorrow in life. Okay, was this clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any questions? I can give you n number of examples to make it clear. We all fear tiger because tiger is more stronger than us and can attack us. And when going to your home, you have to pass through a small lane, and there on the right side, you always see a tiger at distance. Sometimes it is coming towards you. When it is coming towards you, you actually run with all your energy and you come to your house. Then somebody tells you that first you need not worry. There is an unbreakable glass in between the tiger and you. Okay, so you are kind of relaxed, but you are not sure. Just because somebody says that, you are not going to accept that. You need to find out experimentally. So while going, you start knocking the glass and you see, yeah, there is glass. Now your fear is lesser, but still it is not 100% fearlessness because you are not 100% sure. Yes, glass is there, but is it unbreakable? So someday you throw stone. It is not broken by the stone. Now you are not that scared of the tiger. One day the tiger still attacks you and you still run. But you see that the tiger has banged on the glass and it has fallen. And there is not even a dent on the glass. Now your confidence level grows. Your conviction that the tiger is not going to affect real you is so much that when the tiger is there, you can sit there and play cards and you would not be scared. So this understanding, correct understanding, would take away most of your fears, most of your pains. I had given you example that I had tried with myself, that I tried burning my hand. And when I'm focused on myself, I could not feel the pain. So there are actual proofs that, like I said, that the glass you tried with stone, then you tried with hammer, and still it was not broken. So there are ways that you can actually check whatever theory that I'm going to tell you. First, you need to challenge it logically, find out logically convincing. Then we would do experiments, and we still find out that yes, after doing so and so, I'm supposed to get such a blissful experience. You get that, then your conviction will become complete. Yeah.
I think Parag, it will take time to put it within ourselves. You
Absolutely.
understand? We may just nod our head and say yes, we have understood.
Yeah, no. That is why this is. I'm going very slow, and if you want, we can do a bit of repetitions and.
Yes, that is appreciated because repetition is going to, like it is, you keep on teaching a nursery child A's, apple, B's, ball, and the child doesn't just take it at once. You listen, you hear, and then you start grasping. I think that takes a little time. I would
One
say
is grasping. Hello.
Understanding.
Now, one part is grasping, another part is critically. You have to be critical. I recommend people not to go by any book. I have challenged every book. I have challenged my guru. I have challenged the ancient texts and find out everything. Because if you are going to just accept things like, okay, sugar is sweet and you do not want to try and find out, then it is not going to work. You really have to find out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Agreed.
find out yourself, test it, and test is the final proof. So why do you need logic? You need logic because when you are born, you are in dark, let's say, and what you have is 100 different theories which say you go this way, you will see the light. You go that way, you will see the light. And if you try actually not 100, there are thousands. There will be 100 theories within one single sect of a religion. Like there are theories within Hinduism. There are theories. One of the theory is Advait. In Advait there is Vishishta Advait. There is Keval Advait. There is Madhvacharya's theory. There is Shankaracharya's theory. And believe it or not, they are taking so much energy and trying to disprove the other as a fallacious thing.
Agreed. Yes.
So with so much contrast. So what I had written in my diary when I was researching on these things in hostel days is the exact words I will tell you. If A says logically B is wrong and B says logically A is wrong, when I started reading these books, then either only one of them is right or maybe both of them are wrong. You have to be that open in mind to understand and move ahead. Because your idea is not to prove some text to be true. Your idea is to find out the truth. If everybody was to accept whatever is given by default, the operating system that was installed on them when they were born and not add any other software, then viruses will attack and finish the system. So all our wrong thoughts are like viruses. Operating system has vulnerabilities, so viruses can attack. And you need to add your own software, your own logic to make your system foolproof. This analogy is understood, right? That this is hardware. And
Yes.
what we learn is an additional software. The birth religion that we get is an operating system that is installed on us. Yeah. So I have found that there are people who were from X religion but have challenged that and agree to 50% of it. Some other parts they have derived on their own or they have taken it from Y religion. Point is, you have to find out. Now, what is fortunate about this is you cannot find every truth in the world. There is a lot of research which has happened and there are a few theories. Now, how do you filter through these theories? So you need to filter through these theories by using basic logic. So basic logic logic cannot construct a complete truth, but logic can help you destroy a fallacy. So among the Indian, some of the Indian philosophies, there is a philosophy called Charvak. Charvak believed, and Charvak's granths are also Sanskrit granths with great knowledge and logic in support of his own theory. His theory is like similar to Stephen Hawking, that khao piyo maja karo. This is whatever we have is a chemical reaction, and the day you die, it is over. So you enjoy your life as much as possible now. But there are other theories that talked about complete knowledge, and they claim that in such and such conditions, in so and so time, people can life can achieve complete knowledge. And Charvak said that no, complete knowledge is not possible. We have not seen it. Okay. Now, some of the other theories in trying to disprove that, they have used a paradoxical kind of trick that if Charvak does not know, does not believe in complete knowledge, with what knowledge can he say that in any condition complete knowledge is not possible? Right? If he knows his knowledge is incomplete, how can he be sure that complete knowledge is not possible? So there the loop gets broken. So paradox is something which is a statement which would create question about the statement itself. So I'll give you an example of a paradox. We will use it in future, a lot of paradoxes, and you'll find out in some very well-known philosophies, you'll find out a lot of paradoxes. So paradoxes, for example, this statement is a lie. Okay, now take this statement. If this statement is truth, then this statement is a lie because it is a lie. And if this statement is lie, then I am telling you the truth. This statement is a lie. So assuming it is lie proves it to be truth. Right? This is the simplest of paradox. There are some extremely complex paradox in mathematics, and paradox is a beautiful, enjoyable science by itself. But understanding how to use paradoxes can help you finding fallacies in some philosophies, and then you can shortlist to maybe 3, 4, 5 based on your ability to handle logic, and then trying that many in your lifetime is possible.
So what was your explanation to what is logic? You were actually talking about that. Let me tell you what is logic.
No, I'm not. Why logic is important is what I was trying to tell you.
Okay.
So logic is basic reasoning, understanding which possibly human being have got. And for now, let's assume that there are many types of lives that are possible, and you've got a human life now. Then it becomes much more important that you have logic now and you can think what is right and what is wrong. A mosquito by birth and afterwards also will never be able to know whether biting and sucking blood is good or not. It has installed that much fixed software, fixed thing in his hardware, and it cannot learn more things. We as human beings can think that is eating cow right or wrong? Is something we have that ability to think. Is killing someone else good or not good? That is something we can think. What is right or wrong? So this additional reasoning capacity that human beings have, and that is why while this human life is there and we do not know how much it is. I'm telling you, I mean, it's a bitter truth that we are not sure how many days we are remaining for us. So there is that famous famous doha or saying, you can say, काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब, पल में प्रलय होएगी, बहुरी करे सो कब. So what you are putting on to tomorrow, do it today, and what is for today, do it now. Because in a moment there can be a pralaya, means basically a destruction of the world. We don't know when it is going to happen. And then when will you move to spirituality? When will you find yourself? Yeah. So questions, and here onwards people can ask any questions. Send those questions to me on my personal chat. Anything like because people would have these questions like, why things happen this way? Why do I have a bad luck? Why some bad people are doing so well in life? What is love? Can love give me true happiness? Okay, and you may not get expected answers, and we'll discuss them in detail. So any question pertaining to psychology, any question pertaining to happenings, life, pressures, sorrow, grief, excitement, drugs. So anything related, all these things finally come to basic principles, and principles will be same. In my early stages, I used to debate with people who would say that only XYZ book is right. And then I would debate, and using good logic, I would score over them. Now, with more maturity, you give me any book in hand, I will take out exactly the same meaning that I want from it. Okay. So, any questions? Mayur, Sachin, you've said nothing.
No, let us think. Let me think over it and I'll come back.
No, but there was nothing which struck you as odd, crazy, funny.
No, the what you talk is something logically, but we might have to give some thought process to it. And then
Yeah,
the
exactly.
question.
And if you do not think, then it will not go in your
No,
subconscious.
and if
So
we
still
think
remain
only the
with fear.
questions. Yes.
So this example of rope and snake is common in so many religions and so many philosophical books. That if it is snake, you are scared. If it is rope, then you may hang and you may swing on it. You would have no fear. But if it is partially dark and you see something and you think maybe snake, maybe rope, that maybe stage also is going to give you anxiety, and you may run away from it. So right now you are maybe in that maybe stage, and you need that full conviction to understand that death is not something to be feared. So am I saying that so death is not to be feared, so you should jump from anywhere and be happy to die? So of course not. I mean, that is something insane. And why would is there a reason to do that also? So you would do everything possible to do your life better. But if inevitable happens, that does not break you down. Like some people you will see completely broken when they lose someone near and dear one. Some people go mad even after they lose their money. Yeah. Sachin, any questions? You have to
No,
unmute to ask. Hello.
no questions as of.
No questions. Okay.
Parag,
Yeah.
you put in a lot of totally new inquiry.
Yeah.
I'm just never thought these thoughts that you have given today, you just shared.
Yeah.
The completely new inquiry. I'm just in a flux. I'm just
Which one? Let us list them again so that they are not missed out. I will be sharing recordings also, but and if you see the YouTube recording that I am sharing, and in the description I am putting all related stories which I shared before that in the description so that people do not miss anything.
Writing everything.
Yeah. So what all did we cover? We talked about dreaming stage, reality, no way to understand what is real or virtual, and for me the world is what I know. I'll give you one more interesting example. I am told that some color is green. You are also told the same color is green, and you and I both recognize it as green. What if I see it as red inside? But I have learned to call it green, and your experience is different. And that is why someone likes green and someone likes red. That is also a possibility, right? The world exists because the way I see it. So my perspective is my existence of the universe. That was one point. Second point was about continuation, death, that we discussed. And we went through the story so that we understand that if our understanding about death is as clear and we believe in that continuation, then the fear and anxiety would be gone. What else did we discuss? A possibility that if we are machines. We discussed about our body part, and we tried to establish that we all actually believe that we are different from the body, because otherwise we would never have said that my hand is cut off. I would have said, like, if my house is broken in two, I would say this is half house and that is half house. But I will never say this is half me and this is half me, or this is 90% me and 10% me is lying there. That 100% me is, one hand is cut off, is still in me. Another hand is cut off, still it's me. My both legs are cut off, it's still me. Then people start trading my organs. You know, there is business. Still me remains me. And then finally, the whole hardware does not support me staying there. Then me moves somewhere else. Anything else that we covered that you remember, which you think was new? So my request is that these crazy stories that I put them, they look simple, but you need to think about them. Because if you have done some thinking in advance, then when we take a session here, it is going to be more impactful. And finally, we are going to come to a level where the conviction is stronger. And this dharana that we are doing the dharana practice, if you see that every day that first it was only river, then flowing water, then sunrise, then things around, then I am submerged. The story will go on getting more and more detailed. This will help your concentration improve. So on one side, your concentration is getting improved. We will start doing Brahmari also. You will start internalizing yourself. And when you are internalizing and you have logically correctly understood who you are, experiencing yourself will be much easier. Okay, so we do the final Omkar unless people have questions.
I would personally put up the questions to you on your personal.
Absolutely no problem. I mean, and you need not worry about whether they are logical, good, bad questions, anything. People not having questions is a problem according to me. I had so many questions. I had so many questions where sometimes the people who are around saints would come to beat me up that you are insulting our guru kind of thing. But these were genuine questions. So they are required. So let's correct our posture and let's do final Omkar before we close. Eyes closed. And please understand that you may be keeping your eyes open while we are doing this, but while doing the whole exercise from first Omkar to last Omkar, your eyes need to be closed. You should be sitting on an insulating surface. Breathe out. So thank you guys. Thank you for attending.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Parag. The session was very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Parag.
Thanks a lot.
As always, Parag, thank you.